or good evening world. I cannot believe what's happening today. I've done a whole day session in my son's school. We did space, we did rockets, we launched a 50-meter high cardboard rocket in the school playground. I came home for a nap, I woke up, sons came running in the house from a bit of a walk. I looked at my Twitter, and lo and behold, there's only a tweet from the legends, the patron of the Rocket Kids Club, trying to wake me up with his serendipity. Real Homer Hickam was on the line, and here he is now, live and direct from somewhere on the other side of the world. Homer Hickam, can you hear me?
As it is warmed up a little bit, it turns into gas and starts steaming out. So they have to constantly keep it topped off until it's ready to go. It's a very interesting rocket. Elon has decided to use methane because methane is found all over the solar system, so wherever it goes, he hopes to be able to refuel.
So he's literally chosen a fuel that he's going to be able to use wherever he goes with these rockets. Bit easier than finding a Tesla charging point, you think, then?
Well, yeah, I mean, on Titan, for instance, the moon and Saturn's moon, they have whole lakes of methane, but theoretically, he can find methane on Mars, and we'll see how that works out. But I think it's pretty smart. Methane has a big molecule, and it doesn't tend to leak like the new SLS rocket that NASA is building uses liquid hydrogen, which is just a plumber's nightmare. The atom is so small it leaks out all over the place, and that's one of the reasons why it's kind of hard to build that rocket.
So let's be sure. So the SN9 is a reusable satellite launch system or a transportation system. What's the purpose of this rocket, Homer?
What we're actually looking at is a prototype of an upper stage, believe it or not. As big as it is, that's only the upper stage of the ultimate Starship, which will have a booster below it, probably about twice as big. But this upper stage is the one that will carry people and cargo. So it's very good idea to test it, especially on how to land it. And Elon and the folks at SpaceX have chosen a very interesting way to do that, and that is to actually use the fuselage as an aerodynamic brake, so that when it hits the atmosphere of the Earth or Mars, rather than throwing out a parachute, it uses the whole rocket. That's why it turns sideways. So it kind of drifts down, and then the idea is that it will turn down tail first and be able to land like they're able to do now with their Falcon rocket.
Again, getting very close.
I've got to interrupt you there, Homer. I've just got word through from Mission Control. We are going to be launching any time now. So if you could keep talking like a pro, but if I do have to cut away from you like a complete amateur, be prepared to come back to us, because I do want everybody to see this. So we are, I don't know what time, 50 seconds to go. Now, Homer, there's no countdown on the screen. Why is that? Why are we not seeing a countdown for us amateurs to start counting along?
Here is to a good flight, SN9.
Well, actually, SpaceX doesn't care whether you watch it or not. So it's for their purposes. We've got a lot of cameras around it from different independent groups watching it. So SpaceX is not even telling anybody when they're going to go. They're just going to go when they're ready. So they don't feel like that they need to put out any kind of countdown clock. But we can kind of tell when it's going to go by the amount of the propellant that's being loaded, and you can kind of just feel that it's about time.
We have had a hold.
There I was thinking you were going to talk over it, but you knew exactly what you were doing, didn't you? Have you done this before? 10 seconds and counting. I'm going to cut out of this, Homer. Say what you need to. I'll leave it to you to talk over it.
And lift off.
All right, well, there it goes. It's got 3 big Raptor engines pushing it, and again, the whole reason for this is not to go to any particular altitude, but to learn how to land this huge thing. So they went up to around 10,000 feet or so, which is about, I want to say 3,000 meters. But the whole idea was to get high enough so that they could test this kind of revolutionary way of landing something this big. And so that's what they're they're doing right now, they're just going to fly up to altitude, and then they're going to hover sort of like a helicopter. And the whole idea, once they get up to altitude, is to drain enough propellant, very similar to what it would be like if they were in space coming back in, and then see if they can bring it into any kind of vertical landing.
Oh, I'm
so
in the way.
this part is interesting, but a little boring, as it just goes up and up and up and up and up until it reaches the point that it can hover a little bit, and then what's kind of fun is to watch the engine shut down, and then they use one of them to turn sideways, and then good old gravity takes over at that point, and the aerodynamic shell will try to slow everything down. So that's what we're doing right now. It's really a beautiful day. You can see there's hardly a cloud in the sky. This is down on the Gulf Coast, Gulf of Mexico, which typically has a lot of clouds. So they picked a really good day to do this, so that we can see the rocket very, very clearly against the blue sky there. And of course, SpaceX is just gathering all kinds of information. These are fairly new engines. The Raptors really haven't been used that much. So they're just getting a lot of information about the engines themselves as they fly. And keep in mind that this is a private company. They're using mostly their own funds to do what they're doing, where NASA wouldn't dare try to do anything like this.
Really?
Because
what
they
do you
get
mean by
criticized
that?
too much for failure.
What's different about SpaceX's approach in this test to what NASA would have done? What would NASA have done then?
Well, first place, I don't think NASA would have ever done it. We would have
Hey, save the politics.
Try this. It's just too crazy, and they would have been talked out of it. Congress would have never approved it, and so it takes a private company with somebody crazy like Elon Musk to try this, and that's how we progress sometimes. Is
taking risks.
Geniuses who are just a little bit crazy do some amazing things.
And here they go preparing for the handover on the propellant tank.
So there you can see it's kind of hovering at that point. It's not going up or down.
And there we go.
It's
The
just draining
reorientation to the
propellant
belly
right now.
flop.
And there it goes. It's
And
flipping.
And here we go.
Oh, no way.
So, all right. So gravity's got it now. It's got all the engines turned off, and it's just drifting down and down and down.
Lord, here it
They've
comes.
got little rockets on it that will
this is
puff every
very
once in a
angle
while to
right
try to
here.
keep it horizontal,
Now
Very
so that you
Angle
get
from South
maximum
Side. You can see the graph
aerodynamic pressure against it, basically
Yes,
just
indeed.
slowing
Now
it
remember,
down.
this is
You know, if you
subsonic,
take your cardboard
and
rocket
this
up
is
on the
belly
balcony and
flop
throw it nose
descent
first, it goes pretty
aerodynamic
fast. But if you
control
throw it
of
sideways,
aero
you'll
surfaces.
notice it comes
Look
down a
at
little
that
bit
shot.
slower.
A little bit more
And
air
that's what
resistance.
happens here.
Insane.
Look at that shot.
So that was literally just almost just floating as the G-forces overtook the thrust, or what was left, and the momentum.
Well, it looks like it's floating. I bet
Oh
if you
my
were on
gosh.
it, you wouldn't think it was floating. It's
It's
still coming down pretty
immensely
fast,
stable.
probably
This is-
several hundred miles an hour. But considering how big this thing is, that's pretty slow. And of course, you want to get it slow enough so that you can flip it over tail first. And like the F9 rocket that they have, they've done this like, I don't know, dozens of times. It lands successfully on its tail first. They want to do the same thing with this great big rocket, but it's a lot bigger and a lot heavier than the Falcon 9. So
Let's see what this landing looks like.
obviously they've
So
got a
Homer,
way
sorry,
to go.
they've used the word
Soon as
landing
they-
there. What can we expect the landing to
Yes.
look like? What's the
It's
plan
really
for the landing here?
exactly right.
What's the plan now?
Three Raptors in
It
the
should
bottom.
turn
All right,
tail
here we
first
go. We should be
down.
getting- We should be getting closer
At least two
now.
Raptor engines needs to come on to slow it enough, and then it should just land. Little legs would
Oh,
come
there we go.
out
There
and
we
it
go.
would
There
just
we
land
go.
up.
There we go.
So there's one rocket.
And
One
the front looks
Raptor
like
came
they lost a
on,
piece there.
and the second one didn't.
Ah.
And so when the second one didn't, we had rapid disassembly.
Woo! Ow.
But that'll save them some time. They won't have to disassemble.
So I heard that described as a hard landing. You described that as rapid disassembly of the rocket. Are these deliberately understatements, Homer? Is that how you guys roll in
I
your
imagine
business?
you were having great control.
I think SpaceX got a lot of information today. Again, it's just a prototype. they don't build these to last. They build them to launch them one time and get all the information they can out of it. This happened with serial number 8 too. It also rapidly disassembled at the end, and for the same reason. They're having trouble getting two Raptors to turn on at the same time after they've shut them down. So they know how to do that, but for some reason it's not happening. So I think that's what's got to be fixed.
Well, my son popped his head in, well, they watched it, and he actually stood and looked at this scene, and he saw that rocket there, and he saw the smoke over there, and he thought, he actually said, why did they land it next to the other one? I mean, was there a chance that it could have landed on that rocket that was standing there? Was there a chance of that?
Very much so, which shows you how gutsy this company is. I wouldn't have landed it within 10 miles of the other rocket. But these guys are just nuts, and you just got to love them. You just got to reach out and just hug them to death. They're just crazy. But that's the way progress is made.
I'll be honest with you, I made a few gaffes because I'm making this up as I go along and bluffing it, as you know, and I said, oh, it's going to be landing in the Gulf of Mexico on a robot ship. So they were planning on landing that on hard ground, yeah?
Yeah, they were planning. Well, it landed right where it took off, and now eventually they're going to move out. They're going to have great big barges that are built on old oil rigs, and that's where they're going to land them when they really get serious about carrying cargo and crew. That's what they're going to do. But right now, it's like, well, why go out in the ocean and pick up the pieces? We can do that right here at the launch pad.
I mean, it is big boys' toys, isn't it? It really is amazing. Really incredible.
It really is. Big boys and big girls. It's, again, my hats are off to this company. They are just an amazing bunch. And, of course, Elon's got a lot of money. So, and I think it's well spent. If you're going to spend it, why not spend it on the future? And that's what he's doing. So,
and
God bless.
Have they landed one of these before, an SN9? Have they landed one before, or is this the first chance they've had?
Well, they landed the SN8, and the same thing happened. So,
did it?
But this time, every time they do it, they learn a little bit more. And so there's SN10 just sitting there ready to go. I think they'll probably launch it in a week or two. And who knows, it might blow up too, but then SN11, they'll have, again, NASA never do that. They have, that's federal money, that's public money, and they wouldn't dare take a chance like that. And that's why it costs so much and takes so long for them to do anything, because they have to test and test and test and test. This is what's called skunk works testing. It's basically you try something, you see if it works, and you just trot right out and try it again and again and again. And there's a lot of controversy between what's really best in the space business. They both work, but one's very expensive and slow, and one's rapidly and they're both expensive, no matter what you do. But anyway, watching SpaceX is great entertainment, I have to say.
Well, I have to say, so are you, Homer. I can't thank you enough as ever. I mean, I don't want to get too cheesy and corny about this, because I know you've had a lifetime of this from the age 14 up. Do you ever, at moments like this, flash back? Because I always think about those iterations you went through when you were with the Colwood boys. Do you ever flash back to those moments at times like this, or is that dark and distant past now?
No, absolutely, you're right. As a matter of fact, the Big Creek Missile Agency, as we called our club there in Colwood, is very similar to SpaceX in approach, and it was an argument that we had with Quentin, the prototypical nerd of all time, who was the brains in the outfit. Quentin wanted to change one thing at a time and test it, and we just didn't have time to do that. And so we would change a lot of things at the same time and hope that we could figure out why it blew up, what caused it to blow up. And that way we were able to go a lot faster. But that was a continuous argument. So Quentin was kind of NASA, and the rest of us were SpaceX.
Fantastic. Look, can I just show you our latest launch, Homer? I don't know if you've got a minute for this, but I just want to, if I can just take you to what happened at my son's secondary school today. Actually, we built a cardboard rocket on the school grounds, and here we are launching that rocket now.
Ignition sequence start.
There you go, no messing, eh? That's how to do it, Homer Hickam.
Check the status. And it's back. Then I glanced over at one of the cameras.
There we go.
Oh no, the food is frozen.
Well, I'm going to believe you, Nick, that really happened.
It was so funny because we've got some CGI sequences. We just lay them on top of Google 3D images, as I'm sure you've figured out. And it was so funny yesterday because a child in a primary school put in the messages. He said, he's done that in Blender. It's a fake. It was fantastic. Homer Hickam, I'm here because of you. And there are children in this country, in this city, all over the world who've been inspired by your story. But more importantly, your generosity for sharing your stories and grabbing moments like this. I can't thank you enough now, and I'm not going to thank you enough ever, I'm sure. But thank you so much for your time. I know you've been busy. Any last words?
Thank you, Nick, and God bless everybody over there in the UK. We love you, and we hope to eventually be able to actually visit you someday when we get all this mess out of the way. So it'll happen, and I love the work that you do. You know that I do, and love everybody over there. So you guys just take care, and we'll just keep blowing things up over here until we get it right, okay?
Keep us entertained. Homer Hickam, just remember the kettle is always on in this part of England, okay? Always ready for you to come over. Thank you so much for your time. Homer Hickam there. Thanks, Homer. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Wow, how amazing. So that was a recording from earlier because, believe it or not, I had to get the system together really, really quickly to do this tonight. I just happened to see the tweet, got online and managed to get Homer to live stream in to have a chat with us. I did the whole session. It turned out the audio didn't get recorded for some reason, and I don't know why. Mine did and his didn't, and I really can't get my head around it. And I realised something wasn't plugged in because we had to plug all this together in a bit of a hurry earlier. So what you've just seen is a bit of the YouTube feed and another recording pasted together, so apologies about the gap in the middle there. But if you were late to this, we've just been watching SpaceX's test flight of SN9, which took off perfectly, but as Homer said there, they had a rapid disassembly problem on landing. It had a hard landing, which we used to say when we were kids, it blew up when it landed, it crashed. It was tragic, but there's no loss of life, fortunately. And that's how these guys learn. They learn, they test, they try and try again. And we're so grateful to have Homer Hickam on the line. I don't know if you know him, but he wrote this book, Rocket Boys, which is this book that my dad found in an Oxfam bookshop in Shropshire, where I'm from. Said it's the best book he's ever read, about 4 boys who saw the Sputnik, were inspired to make rockets by their mum, by their dad, by a teacher. And as Homer said there, you know, those memories are with him today. And I love the line in the front of this book here, because today I've been working in my son's school and we gave some books away. We gave a fantastic story here, actually, Storms' story. We gave a copy of that up today, Rise Up, which has got a lovely little piece in the beginning of there. But Homer Hickam's teacher said to him when she gave him the book about how rockets work, all I've done is give you a book. You have to have the courage to learn what's inside. And Homer's been so generous to us. He's given us the rights to use his story in sessions we take into schools all over Britain, all over the country. Look it up in the Rocket Boys, the Rocket Kids Club, which we're launching to get kids inspired, not just about rockets, but to be creative, to use their art, whether it's robots, rockets, dancing, DJing, design, photography, football, whatever. I wrote this little book last year, 9 short stories, the Rocket Kids stories, 9 stories with Homer's story, Elon Musk, Elton John, Helen Sharman, Dominic Wilcox, incredible people who've inspired our story there. So I think that's on Amazon if you want to get a copy of that, whatever. But these are the moments. This is how art connects. And this year we're going to hashtag InspireNation21. We want to get people like me out in the country this year, so that for next year, for 2022, we've got 22 people like me buzzing around the country, live streaming small events like this to their communities, tapping into us, tapping into people like Homer. We'd love to get more famous, creative people, more businesses involved, more inspiring entrepreneurs, innovators, designers, all sorts of artists, because we say that art is what we call it when what we do might connect us to somebody else. And as I said, I was talking about this Stormzy book earlier to some children in my son's school in Camden in North London. And there's a lovely piece in the beginning here by Akua, who's Stormzy's brand strategist. She sounds like a fantastic woman. She says, it's really weird. You never realise that you're on a journey until you look back on it. You just get up every day and you work. You do whatever you've got to do that day. It's only when you stop and think that it starts to make sense. And it's people like Elon Musk, Homer Hickam, Richard Branson, Helen Sharman, all these amazing people. Elton John is one of the most inspiring people for us, and he's inspired our story with his story as a father, as a musician, as an artist, and as an art activist, because he said in 2022 he's going to come and help with the campaign for creativity on our schools. So give us a ring, Elton. I'm going to leave you now with that moment when SN9 has rapid disassembly and landing. Here it is, it's coming into land. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, what?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Wait. Oh, my preview froze. No. What did I miss?
Oh, no.
That was a replay, which is why they're not quite as surprised as they were the first time.
What?
Oh, it didn't freeze. Oh, it wasn't there. Oh.
That's their robot film. Starship SN9 bites the dust. SpaceX will learn from that and move forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see that. I'm gonna
us.
need to see that like at least 10 more times, Dust.
Here you go. I'm just getting the right time. I'm going to note the time when it suddenly appears in frame. Look at this.
Actually, I think. Do you know what? I think I'm going to do. I'm going to jump out of YouTube, and I'm going to play you the film of the story of how Homer Hickam inspired us to do what we're doing in schools all over the country. My name's Nick, and I'm from Steamco. Good morning, everybody. My dad volunteers in an Oxfam bookshop, and one day he found a book in the bottom of a box, and he gave it to me. He said, "Nick, this is the best book I've ever read in my life. Rocket Boys by Homer Hickam." Homer Hickam didn't really want to be a coal miner. I know what we'll do. We'll go home and make rockets. He made his first ever rocket, and he fired it, and it knocked his mum's fence down. What his mum said was, "If at first you don't succeed, try again." And a year later, those 4 boys made a rocket that went 6 miles high in the sky. Would you like to know how rockets work? When I'm stronger, I push back to you, and when we don't move at all, that's called equilibrium.
This morning's session was very, very useful. Really, really good, because it got children excited, and if they're excited, they can then learn from understanding the principles behind how things work.
It was really constructive and fun, and we really enjoyed shooting rockets into the sky. So it goes really high, and it's quite heavy on the nose, weirdly, and it landed in the tree, basically.
Yeah, we're passionate about developing the right sort of mindset, and this is really great for the children. They've just had a fabulous time, really engaging in the subject, really engaging in the science. It's been wonderful. Who's up next then?
3, 2, 1.
Bringing science to life here at Norwich Science Festival. Listen to those children.
This is the best day of my life. Supernova class, can we say our special saying, please? Reach for the stars!
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created